Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Greta-thon on Coffee Nick's Movie Picks, a limited film review series celebrating and honoring the portfolio of Greta Gerwig over a lovely cup of coffee. My name is Nick Delaney, and I'm your show host, enjoyer of coffee that maybe doesn't have all that extra stuff, Greta Gerwig fan, and the guy who maybe has been pronouncing Greta Gerwig wrong for this entire thing so far. Listen, I've had to write it this whole time. I haven't had to speak it that much. So maybe it's Gerwig, maybe it's Gerwig, maybe it can be both, maybe it's neither. I don't know. You know just as much as me. And thank you to the person who pointed that out to me. A little special shout out. Now, it's not night, and it's not a weekend. At least when I'm recording this. But today, we are reviewing Nights and Weekends, the 2008 film directed by Joe Swanberg and Greta Gerwig. Please take a seat, stay a while, and let's talk being on top over some coffee. But first, and always but first, please be sure to follow at Coffee Nick's Movie Picks on Instagram and TikTok. There you can stay up to date on new releases, which there will be plenty of this month, see coffee pictures that go along with each episode, get some quick movie reviews from yours truly, and submit Dear Coffee Nick letters. Again, that's at Coffee Nick's Movie Picks on Instagram and TikTok. Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 5 of the Greta-thon. We are halfway there, a little bit more than halfway. I hope you all are having a lovely time so far. I'm sorry that episodes have been releasing a little off of schedule this week. I know the Ladybird episode was not too off schedule. This one might be a little bit more so. Please forgive me. Luckily, I'm not having to push things back too much, but I just needed some extra time to live life and whatnot. With that being said, I am officially moved into my new place, but I'm still getting settled in and everything. But this week, I need a little bit of extra time to settle in. And also, I received some very exciting news, which I think I'm going to save for the finale of the Greta-thon. So tune in for that. It's at the end of this month. And also, I, of course, need time to watch movies. I feel like, I'm getting so caught up in the Greta-thon of it all that I'm missing the things that are actually coming out in theaters that I really want to see. With that being said, I saw Cuckoo last night, which I had some mixed feelings about. And Alien Romulus comes out this weekend, which if you know me, you know this is a very big moment for me. So we'll see when I see that, but hopefully it is very soon. Now, I know that the movie we're talking about today, Nights and Weekends, is not as well known as some of the other movies that I'm talking about. But with that said, if you have not watched this movie, please feel free to listen to this full episode. I am going to talk about the ending a bit, but yeah. There will be spoilers, but I would love for you all to stay and listen. If this is the first episode you're listening to in the Greta-thon, be sure to listen to the introductory episode, which is out now. And also 2 full-length episodes and another shorter-length episode are also released right now, including reviews on Frances Ha and Lady Bird, which I had such a fun time with. I'm going to talk about this more in the finale, but the Lady Bird episode is out now, and this is the reason I think I was so delayed, the true reason. I was not happy with it. I was not happy with that episode. I feel like I have been I don't know, my reviews have not been cohesive enough. I've not been actually critiquing the film. I feel like I'm just summarizing them too much, which that has been a real challenge that I've noticed throughout this Greta-thon is when it's a favorite movie, when it's a movie I love, or like even these movies that are more, they're a part of my research, I'm really just summarizing them. And I'm like kind of talking about interesting things I noticed rather than actually critiquing and saying what I liked and didn't like. So maybe the Greta-thon is more of just a discussion of these films. But yeah, that's something I noticed. I don't think I ever want to review one of my favorite movies again, but I probably will. It was just so hard finding things to talk about. It's so hard for me, it was so hard to articulate exactly what I liked about a movie that for so long has meant so much to me. So listen to that episode if you want, but yeah, the review I was really frustrated with when I was editing and listening back. But I hope that you guys enjoy it. And hopefully, I shared some things with you that you found interesting and compelling. But yes, I hope you all are doing well. I'm excited for the fall. I want to get these little fall flavors. I want pumpkin spice everywhere. I want crunchy leaves. I want colors changing. But I hope you all are having a lovely time and have great things going on for you right now. If you don't, that's okay too. Great things are coming. They're on the way. They're manifesting. They're unfolding right before your very eyes. But be patient. Now, this is a shorter length episode, so there is no coffee review today, but there will be one next week when I review Little Women. But I still want to do a coffee thought. The coffee thought is an outlet dedicated to voice my many incoherent thoughts over a lovely cup of coffee. I don't have coffee with me. I have some water, but I did have some of my the Nomad blend from Canvas Coffee Roasters this morning, which was delish as always. Now, for my coffee thought today, I want to talk about people who wear AirPods in a very, from my perspective, crazy way. The people that wear AirPods and they put it in their ear and it's like sticking out or it's like straight ahead forward. I usually, from my perspective, the correct way to wear an AirPod is having it like be slanted down, but it's vertical, it's not horizontal. And then there's those people where it will be sticking out like at a 90-degree angle from their ear, like almost like they have something severing their head. What is going on? Like maybe that's the correct way. Maybe that's just how it fits in their ear. That's what's most comfortable for them. But to me, what's going on? How does that feel in their ear, you know? But those people always sort of like put me on edge. Like they make me very alert and aware of my surroundings. Like something here is not right. It's very uncanny valley. It's very, I don't know. Like it's an omen. It's a bad omen when I see AirPods sticking out of someone's ear like that. It cannot be trusted. The other thing I would like to talk about today is how I am no longer going to be an AMC A-list subscriber. And it's because I moved. And one of the only AMCs in DC is in Georgetown, which it's a lovely area, but it is a little evil because there's no metro stop there. So it's very hard to get there. I do have a car with me up in DC, but I went there and I was going to see Deadpool and Wolverine. I bought my ticket. I thought I bought my ticket. And I drive over, lovely drive, beautiful views and everything. And I get there. Turns out they do have a parking garage attached to the AMC, and you can validate your ticket, but the validated ticket just makes the parking $10. If I'm seeing a movie, I don't know. In my opinion, if I'm parking somewhere in the city, yes, I understand and I completely expect there to be a somewhat outrageous parking fee. But if I'm seeing a movie, I would like my ticket to be validated completely. I don't want to pay anything for parking if I'm already paying however much to see a movie. I was feeling very invalidated in that moment, actually. So, yeah, no thanks on that validation. Quote unquote, validation. Yeah. So, it doesn't stop there. It really doesn't. I walk into the AMC, a mess. It was a mess. It looked like the Taylor Swift Eras Tour $13 tickets just blew through there. I blame the Colleen Hoover fans seeing It Ends With Us. I will not be seeing that in theater, by the way. I have my reasons. Looked like a Twister. I mean, maybe two Twisters did blow through there because that's now showing. It was a mess. It was nasty. It did not look good. The facilities itself, it was very nice. I go in there, I show my ticket, and the person at the front scans it, and it plays a noise that was very unfamiliar to me. And I was like, oh, okay, weird. And this person mumbles something, and it was very like, and I was like, I'm sorry, what was that? And I was like, okay. And I'm one of those people that I will not hear you maybe the first 10 times that you say something, and I will keep asking you to repeat it. But this person clearly did not want to, I don't know, really phrase it in a different way. I don't, yeah, I just, it was just very mumbly. Like this person clearly did not want to be there, was not happy to be there, which you don't have to be, but I don't know. Just let's have a normal conversation where we can talk. And then what threw me off is that the person handed me, I was seeing Deadpool and Wolverine because I just wanted a stupid little fun movie to see. And they handed me a gold badge for the movie. And I was just like thrown off by the situation to begin with. But then they handed me this gold badge and I was like, oh, thank you. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? I go in and I could not find my theater. I'm looking around. Where's theater 9? Where's theater 9? I finally find it. And I walk in. And of course, I got popcorn and a drink because I wanted to enjoy myself and treat myself. I go in and theater 9, I walk in and it's the middle of Lawrence of Arabia playing. And I was like, what the heck? Where's my movie? Where's my Maria Menounos? Where's my movie? So I walk back out and I look, and I bought it from my home theater at Potomac Mills, not the Georgetown location. Oh, I was mad. I was mad. And I looked and I was like, okay, well, is there a different movie that I can walk into? Like, is there a different showing of Deadpool and Wolverine? Is there like just a showing of Twisters or this or that I can go into? No. It was 8 o'clock. And like the next movie of any showing started at 10. So I was not going to be seeing another movie. So I was like, okay, so I can either wait here for about 2 hours or I can just leave. But it was kind of embarrassing to leave, and I did just leave. It was kind of embarrassing to just leave, though, because I bought popcorn and a drink. So I was walking around Georgetown with a full bag of popcorn and a drink from AMC. So I looked like one of those people that like goes in just for the food, which no shame there. I love the game, but I personally wouldn't do it for that price. And I reflected back and I was like, oh, so that's probably what the person at the front was trying to say to me, but just didn't want to articulate or be friendly about it. And instead, they just let me in fully knowing that my showing would not be there. Like, why would they let me in if my ticket said my movie wasn't showing or if I was at the wrong theater? Like, their job is to turn me away at the door. So why did they let me in knowing I had no business going in? And why did they hand me the little freebie, the stupid ass freebie, knowing that I wasn't even going to see that movie today? Like, so what am I going to do with this? So now I have this little gold Deadpool and Wolverine coin. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to throw it in the trash. That's what I did because that's where all of those are going to end up anyways. Those stupid little coins. It's just landfill fodder. Why are we making stupid stuff like that? I don't know. It's dumb to me. And I was kind of mad at this worker for not saying anything, or I guess maybe they did say something, but not clear enough either time for me to hear it. Like, come on, just say like, hey, just want to let you know you're at the wrong theater. Sorry. And I'd be like, oh, okay. I don't think I'd be any less embarrassed per se, but this whole thing could have been avoided with clear, open communication and maybe some nice customer service. It could have been avoided. As a communications researcher and graduate and lover of the field, let's communicate, mama. Let's do that. So after this whole AMC debacle, I pretty much was like, well, what now? What now? What did I travel all this way across all of the District of Columbia for? What did I pay $10 in validated parking fees for? Again, feeling very unvalidated right now. What did I buy this popcorn and drink for? What? I spent this nice evening on myself only for it to be squandered and squashed by my own mistake in purchasing Potomac Mills theater tickets. But I'm the type of person, if I make plans to treat myself, I do not let those plans go to waste, and I do not let them shift or change. Those are set in stone. So I was like, how can I recover? What can I do in this moment to make it right for myself? So, for as long as I've lived in DC, or for as long as I've worked in DC, I have wanted to go to Georgetown and see the Exorcist Steps. Like I've said, Georgetown is like a bit of a hassle to get to since there's no metro stop. So I was like, why not that? So with my popcorn, drink, and Deadpool and Wolverine medallion in hand, I promptly made my way to the Exorcist Steps. And oh my gosh, it was lovely. It was like meeting a local celebrity for real. I had chills like walking up the steps and everything, and it was scary. Like I felt a sense of dread walking up those steps, but I am so glad that I went. For those of you that don't know, these steps play a very important role in the Exorcist film. A lot of characters in the film trip and fall and die on these stairs. So the whole movie takes place in Georgetown, which I think is really cool because I feel like DC isn't really represented in a lot of movies that aren't political, especially horror movies. So I really like that about Exorcist. And it's just a great movie. And I have so many thoughts about it. I think I will discuss that at some point on this show. But there were so many people there at the steps walking up and down and taking pictures and everything. I asked someone to take my picture too, which was really fun. So maybe I'll post that on my Instagram along with this nights and weekends post. Maybe not. Depends on if I like the way I look in it. But yeah, it was lovely. So the evening was not wasted. It was not squandered. I recovered quickly. And I did something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I did it myself. That's a big thing I'm a proponent of. I'll get to the movie review quick soon. Shut up. Shut up. Let me talk. I am a big proponent of not waiting to do something with another person to do it. Don't think that you need another person's permission or another person's company to go do something. Sure, it's great to have company and it's lovely to experience something with someone, especially movies. Like I said, share movies with everyone. But it's also, if you really want to see something, don't wait on it and don't let your chances fly away just because you're waiting on another person to go with. You know, that happens a lot with concerts. It happens a lot with the movies. You know, if you really want to see a movie, go see it because some movies, they're in theaters for like 2 weekends. Think of Furiosa. That was an amazing movie and it was so shortly lived in the theaters, which I have a lot of thoughts about. I think I even talked about that on my TikTok for this show. Okay, what did I even start this discussion with? Oh yeah, I'm not an AMC A-list subscriber anymore. I will be switching to Alamo now because it is a 15-minute walk from my house. And I think I get free parking too, so I could even just drive. So eat your heart out, Georgetown AMC. But I'm very sad to be leaving AMC. AMC till the day I die, but yeah, very sad. I'll miss you, Nicole Kidman and Maria Menounos. Okay, let's finally talk about movies. I actually do have a coffee with me now because I paused the recording and I'm resuming it later in the day. So I do have a coffee in hand. It's just a iced latte with oat milk, and it was $7. Crazy. But yeah, let's talk about movies, shall we? Our next segment, now showing the Greta-thon, our feature ideological analysis and critical film review segment honoring and celebrating the portfolio of Greta Gerwig, hosted by yours truly. Now showing today is Nights and Weekends, directed by Joe Swanberg and Greta Gerwig. Nights and Weekends is a 2008 mumblecore film that centers around the long-distance relationship of Maddie, played by Gerwig, and James, played by Joe Swanberg. While their relationship thrives in the nights and weekends they spend with one another, Maddie begins to question the sustainability of the relationship when she notices a lack in James's efforts. Okay, this one, if we're talking about technical aspects and everything, this is very, very similar to Hannah Takes the Stairs, which was my previous shorter film review that I did last week. And it makes sense why. This is also a mumblecore film, and it's also directed by Joe Swanberg. The only difference is that this one is also directed by Greta Gerwig. And with that said, this is Greta Gerwig's directorial debut. So this is the film, if you've ever called Lady Bird Greta Gerwig's directorial debut, this is the film that those annoying people are talking about when they said, actually, it's not her directorial debut. And those annoying people, those people are me. This film came out only 1 year after Hannah Takes the Stairs, and in general, I like this a lot more than Hannah Takes the Stairs. But this is a recent development. When I watched these films for the first time, when I was doing my research on them, I actually really enjoyed Hannah Takes the Stairs and did not like this one as much. But now I feel like that's reversed, and now I don't like Hannah Takes the Stairs as much, and I like this one a little bit more. But I think this one is better, in my opinion, because it is more focused on a specific aspect of the story. This film is very focused on showcasing the nuances and complexities of this relationship between Maddie and James. Whereas Hannah Takes the Stairs felt a bit all over the place, but it makes sense because that movie was showcasing three different relationships rather than just one. The film starts out by showing Maddie and James finally seeing each other after a long period of time. So Maddie is in Chicago visiting James, and the movie starts with them having sex on the kitchen floor. And one thing about this movie is that it is really graphic with when it has sex scenes. This, I think, could be described as pornography. So if you're sensitive to that, that is one thing to note before watching this. But it shows a lot, and I think that's just a hallmark of the mumblecore genre is just showing things in their entirety and not really turning the camera away at all. So I appreciate these moments for their transparency with these characters, but it is jarring when you're watching this for the first time because you kind of see everything happening. But I think it is very necessary to this story because it really characterizes what a long distance relationship is probably like, kind of like that huge sense of urgency when you finally get to see each other. Like, yeah, they're going to fuck on the kitchen floor. That's just how it is. But slowly after that, the film begins to reveal sort of the cracks in the relationship between Maddie and James and what really is not working between them. Both characters, I think, have a lot of issues. A lot of people make fun of this movie because Greta Gerwig's character, Maddie, is very annoying. I don't really think she's that annoying, but she does have one moment in particular in the film where she like basically has like a fit in public and she's like screaming and crying at James in public. And yeah, I that scene really drives me up a wall. And it's very kind of, unprovoked, and they don't really show that sort of burst of excitement from Maddie again throughout the film, so it feels very like random, but it shows like a childish side to Maddie that I think is important to know in the story. And Maddie doesn't necessarily have a sense of what she's doing. Throughout the story, she also lies about her career and like her progress in her career and everything, mostly because James's career is doing really well. He's a video game designer, and his video game, is getting all sorts of reviews and this and that. And Maddie's really not getting any work at all. But I think seeing Greta Gerwig in this type of role is really interesting because we get to see like over the top emotions from her. Funny enough, thinking on like Frances Ha and Hannah Takes the Stairs, we don't see Gerwig's characters cry at all in these films. In this film, we see Gerwig like having a breakdown, crying, and really over the top emotions. And I think this film really showcases Gerwig's expertise and talent as an actor. She is really incredible in these films, all of them, but this one especially, we see something a little different from her, which is cool. Kind of talking about what I like more about this film than maybe Hannah Takes the Stairs. And I don't mean to just compare these two the whole time, but like I said, I like that this film is more focused on a distinct thing. It is focused on the relationship between these two people. But I also like this film sort of has an aesthetic and like a vibe to it, I think. A lot of it takes place during night. And you get to see kind of like these two characters in love with each other. And you also start to notice when things aren't going correctly. shortly after Maddie has the breakdown, she is mentioning that every time something's not perfect, she's the one that fixes it. And once in a while, that just makes her cry. So this character feels a burden to fix things that are issues. And very closely to this, Maddie's character also mentions that she feels like she has to be the one that's like always proactive in the relationship. She's always the one that's saving up to travel to see James rather than vice versa. And so we kind of get the sense that Maddie is harboring some negative emotions towards James because she feels like she has to bend over backwards to make this relationship work. And she maybe has the feeling on the inside that James isn't doing as much, and he's not as willing to sustain the relationship as Maddie. This happens a lot throughout the movie too. James asks Maddie what she would like him to do as a partner. Like, do you want me to say I love you? Do you want me to get you this? Do you want me to get you that? What do you want me to do? And he doesn't really have the sense of proactivity in the relationship. He is more so just doing as he's told. Much like the character of Kyle in Lady Bird, we sort of get the depiction of James's masculinity as weaker and pathetic, really. And the female protagonist has to sort of go further and be more proactive to make up for those weaker masculinities, which just emphasizes her strong femininity. So I think this is a good film review to be doing in the same week as my Lady Bird review, because I think this one sort of has similar notes. Talking about it like it's wine, I have similar observations to this one than I did with Lady Bird. And this is very clear in the last scene of the film. So, very early on in the film, actually, Maddie and James break up and they spend some time apart, but they're in town. One of them is in the town of the other, and they spend time together, and eventually they have sex again. And there's this scene where they're in, I think, a hotel room, and Maddie asks if she can be on top of James. And James is like, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do it. But we get the sense that, like, Maddie's not really in the right place. Maybe she's not as into it as she thought she was. And she asks James to help her along. And James is like, well, I don't like to do that. She asks something very specific of James. I won't go into detail in this episode, but and James is like, well, I don't like to do that, so I don't want to do it. And James is like, well, maybe we can just do this another time then. And Maddie's like, huh, yeah, maybe. And this is my favorite part of the film. Maddie gets up from off the bed. They're both completely naked. She gets up from off the bed, she dresses, and she just leaves him. She just decides that she's done. So it reminds me a lot of the scene from Lady Bird where Lady Bird gets upset with Kyle because Kyle says, oh, you're going to have so much unspecial sex in your life. And Lady Bird is like, I was on top. Who the fuck is on top for their first time? So and that's when also that quote I really like, shut up, happens right after that too. But it's both scenes in Lady Bird and this one in Nights and Weekends are sort of emphasizing this male character as being more pathetic and weaker and lazy in certain ways. So I really like this ending for the film where Maddie just altogether leaves James. And the very last shot of the film is James just hysterically crying in front of Maddie. They're saying goodbye to each other. And Maddie has to be the one to comfort James. And she just is stone faced. She isn't really showing any emotions, but she has to be there to comfort James, who's having this like emotional meltdown. And one thing I really like about this last shot is that you can't tell if this is happening after that sex scene or if this happened a long time ago, like if this is just one of their many times saying goodbye to each other after a visit, or not. Because either way, it's sort of showing that, oh, maybe James was like a really weak boyfriend, for a long time now. Or it's just showing that James is pathetic in the present. But it's showing that Maddie was kind of always the one that was like more stable, despite maybe her childish antics and her flaws. Maybe she's the one that was the stronger one, and she was the one that's more comforting and really carrying the weight of the relationship. But altogether, this film is really just depicting a long distance relationship that is not sustainable. And that's really it. I think it did a really good job at doing that one thing, but it really doesn't do much else. And I really don't think it's a short film. It's only 80 minutes. And I don't really think it even needed that 80 minutes to accomplish what it did. It could have done so even in a shorter amount of time. But I understand with this genre of mumblecore, there's sort of like added elements that take up a lot of time. And that's completely fine. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with this genre at all. But you know, I have a feeling like some people might have issues with it because it's not your typical narrative structure. Also, another conclusion, I don't know much about Joe Swanberg. I don't know about his history with Greta Gerwig, other than that they made these two films together. But his character in this film is gross and nasty. So I'm happy that Maddie did what she did to get away from him because I did not like this man. As the TikTokers say, and I don't like this term, he gave me the ick. But it's true. Watch the film. It's true. Do I recommend this film? I would say yes. If mumblecore is something that you think you're interested in, I think this one is a good one to start with rather than Hannah Takes the Stairs. I think this one has more of a narrative than other mumblecore films, and it's more focused than other mumblecore films, but you still get a lot of like those kind of genre characteristics. Also, I think this film is like a little funnier than Hannah Takes the Stairs. I don't think this film is laugh out loud funny at all, but it's funny. And yeah, it's vibey. I think it can definitely put you in a certain mood, and it's fun to watch. So, for all of those reasons, I'm going to give Nights and Weekends the Nick Mix. While I really love the focus on the intricacies and complications of this long distance relationship, I felt that in the end, the film just doesn't have anything worthwhile to say and could say it in a much shorter amount of time. Yeah, so there's that one. I think that about ends the Mumblecore chapter of this Greta-thon. These films are really interesting, and I'm excited to see what other Mumblecore films that Gerwig has acted in, because I really haven't seen any of the other ones besides these two. But yeah, I think that's everything I had to talk about today. So thank you all for tuning into this episode of the Greta-thon on Coffee Nick's Movie Picks. Please be sure to rate the show on Apple Podcasts, follow the show's social media, and share the show with your friends. Until next time, I will be tossing my Deadpool and Wolverine gold medallion that I got into the trash. I will see you then. Thanks again for listening to the Greta-thon on Coffee Nick's Movie Picks. Our opening theme is The Light Within, and our closing theme is When the Ash Settles, both themes by the Westerlies. Before you go, please be sure to follow the show on social media at Coffee Nick's Movie Picks, and give the show the Nick Pick by rating it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Thanks so much!